So I'm watching the Rex live stream at the moment. It's Saturday evening. Live stream's just started. They're talking about the Rex roadmap for the year ahead. I've tuned into this specifically because they're also going to be announcing the results of the Environment Force competition, which I entered. Let me just try and turn this volume down. I didn't actually know what Environment Force was, and then I got a mail shot with 1 day's notice that a competition was going to run for 2 weeks only, and that ended last Monday. Today's Saturday, so we had basically 2 weeks to do something to enter a screenshot or a video, and the prizes were sufficiently attractive that I decided to drop everything and have a go at not the screenshots but the video competition. I almost didn't do it because well, first of all, I didn't have Environment Force, didn't even, as I say, didn't know what it was. But then when I looked at what it was, it requires prepared version 4.5, and I was still stuck on 4.2, and I didn't really want to upgrade because there was lots of horror stories about the upgrade, and which proved to be unfounded actually. So after a bit of procrastination, I did a client-only update of prepared to version 4.5, and that actually worked fine. No problems with that. I just worried that, because I only had a window of about 3 days where if my license went bad, I would be able to contact the Lockheed Martin people and get them to reset my license, and I wasn't convinced that would actually happen. So luckily that didn't happen. We got the thing installed, it worked, learned what it was, and we made the video. I'm just having to keep an ear out on this in the background in case they change tack and we get to the part I'm interested in. I'm interested in it all, obviously, but mostly in the competition results in the immediate term. Now, just coming back to the idea about Environment Force and what it is, and you know, Rex has a bit of a reputation for obscurity or obfuscation, you might say, particularly in their product names. Now, I have some sympathy with this. I've been a loyal Rex supporter pretty much from the beginning, so I've had all the Rex versions of their main texture product. So that's the clouds, the water and runway textures and so on, up to and including Rex Texture Direct version 4 for prepared version 4. Now actually Texture Direct is a reasonably good product name by the yardstick of previous Rex product names. So what can I say about that? I mean, Environment Force, you know, that's not immediately, there's a lot of, if you go and look on the forums, there's a lot of posts along the lines of, wow, doesn't Environment Force look great, but what exactly is it? And you know, most people have concluded it's just another weather program, which actually it's not. You know, in a nutshell, as far as I understand it, it's a shader tweaking tool. It's three things. It's a shader tweaking tool, which can do pretty much what things like PTA and Tomato Shade can do, but it can do it in real time, live, while the sim is running, without having to recycle or reload anything or recompile anything. And it's immediately responsive. You can tweak things like the water transparency or the cloud size or the cloud shading, and you can move the sliders and it'll vary in real time in front of your eyes. So that's the first of three things it does. The second of three things it does, if you go back to something like Rex Texture Direct or the older products, with the cloud texture sets and the water texture sets and so on, you can load those on the fly while the sim is running as well. So that's the second thing, which is, as far as I know, hasn't been doable before. And the third thing is really on the back of that texture loading, you can have it do that automatically, and I think the shader tweaking automatically on the fly while you're flying, controlled according to the prevailing weather conditions. So if you've got a weather engine in the background, which this isn't, by the way, this is not a weather engine, it's not a texture package at all, but if you have a weather engine running real world weather in the background, this Environment Force will adjust the texture sets if you set it to automatic mode, it will adjust the texture set, including loading different texture sets. It will adjust the shader settings on the fly according to what the weather's telling it. So absolutely phenomenal set of functions there. But it would be great if Rex gave it a name that encompassed some of that, or at least suggested it. You know, environment force. It's, you know, something sounds like it's something to do with global warming or cutting down your plastic use, or, you know, saving the whales or something. You know, they do another a companion product called Skyforce, which is a, well, I don't have Skyforce yet, but as I understand it, Skyforce is much more about the cloud effects and the rain effects over and above textures. So, but again, the name doesn't really suggest that. Skyforce 3D, I think it's called. You know, it could be a better name. There's a product which is defunct now. You may or may not know about it or have heard of it. Rex Latitude. Again, another absolutely meaningless product name. Now, actually, I was involved with that product in its early beta testing before Rex licensed it, and it was called Flight Critic. Now, much better. I mean, not a great name, but a much better. You know, it does what it says on the package. If you were going to buy that, you would have some inkling of what it's going to do from the name. And Latitude, I don't know where they got that name from, but you know, it's a snappy name. But oh, there you go. I've said enough about that. So that's one of the things that, you know, is pulling against Rex products. But that said, they're excellent products. They're excited about something.
For a very long time is our next product that
we're
diving into a whole brand new area.
TerraForce.
Like what we talked about.
Well, I heard of that.
We think of Rex. We're trying to be
ultra high def
the
photographic
superior flight sim products provider. And
competition
four of those areas we said was
Orbix,
atmosphere, airports, and then this next area is scenery. And within this, we want to provide high definition photographic scenery. We're starting out with the United States in this area. And to give you an example of the interface here, it shows you an interface of what's coming up. So basically, the way this works here,
exactly like Orbix FTX Central.
Per state in the United States, and you will be able to.
You know, if you could copyright look and feel,
download and install.
You'd have John Veneman knocking on the door by now.
High definition scenery that you want to install
in the back end on this, and we don't want to reveal that just yet for obvious reasons. So,
you know, just another thing on this product name business, and kind of linked to the competition. You know, there weren't that many entries into this competition, so that's why I'm sort of glued to my screen with, you know, a forlorn hope that I might have actually prevailed. Most of the screenshots, well, I mean, so arguably the screenshot competition for a product such as this is ill-conceived. The video competition is much better conceived, and I say that because this is not, as I say, a texture product or a snapshot product at all. This is about process, and, you know, the process of dynamically modifying things like shaders and texture sets. And I mean, you can't show that in a screenshot. But that's, you know, they made a screenshot competition and someone's going to win it. But inevitably, all the competition entries were, you know, pictures focusing on the weather, or the look of the weather, and you know, some great photos in there, no denying. But likewise, the videos that were entered into this competition. Now, I can't say exclusively. I'm not sure if I saw every one of those videos. I did try to look at them all. But again, they focused on just the look of the weather and I suppose the breadth of the weather experience. But bearing in mind that, you know, the look of the experience is dependent on what textures you have installed, and Environment Force doesn't require that you have any other Rex products, as far as I know. Now, in submitting my own video, I tried to move away from that and put some focus on the process dimension of Environment Force. I tried to do a time-lapse videos have been quite popular. Rex introduced the product with their own time-lapse video, which is much better than the one I came up with, but it's kind of hard to shoot, you know, unless you go looking very specifically for, I suppose, storm cells and researching that, you know, and then setting up the time-lapse very carefully. I mean, I made some attempt to do that, and in the end mine's a little bit vanilla, and it obviously takes ages to shoot a time-lapse, so I had a few goes at that, and so I've included that in the video. And I've also I've showed some of the slider tweaking and things live.
Giveaways and so forth. Should we share this?
I think they're going to talk about the competition.
I don't know. Should we share it? I don't know.
Share it.
Should we share this?
Yes.
What do you think,
What are you sharing?
Well,
Giveaways? They said
you got me on the edge of my seat. What are we?
Does the crowd really want to know about it?
I mean, I think the crowd wants to know
I
about
don't
it.
know. Do you really want to know about what's coming up next?
Yes. We want to know.
Let's find out.
Yes. Okay. Finally.
Sorry.
Alright, so the next big news is
X-Plane.
X-Force for X-Plane.
X-Force for
We'll be
X-Plane.
working
X-Force.
next year,
What kind of a name is that?
on 3
Case in
cavities
point.
for X-Plane,
X-Force.
and that will be focused on the
That's the
atmosphere,
definition of an
airports,
unknown
and
variable.
So a lot of things that you see currently, not specifically
atmosphere,
exactly,
airports,
because the platform is
scenery.
different, so I want to make sure that's very clear to everybody out there. We cannot take everything that's in Skyforce and put it into X, because it is different.
I'm tempted to join in the online chat and say something about the naming, but I don't want to upset anybody.
Shall we get it?
Yeah, so next is the winners of the video and screenshot contest.
Come on.
Everybody hold your breath.
I'm holding my breath.
Ready? I'm holding my breath. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Let's just shut off the stream right now.
Oh, very funny.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's do it. Here we go. And the winners are...
Oh, no! Who?
Once again, we really want to thank Honeycomb Aeronautical as well as Carinado. We couldn't have done this contest without them.
It was a
So
good
we
contest.
really appreciate everybody
Gotta
who
say.
participated. Once again, congratulations. This is phenomenal, and we look forward to doing more contests in the future. So thank you guys very much. Stay tuned to our social media for maybe some more announcements. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely.
So they're into the Q&A now. I'm not really going to bother with that. It's all very technical. So shame I didn't win the competition. The thing I was bucking for, obviously, well, maybe not obviously if you don't know, the main prize for that video competition was a Honeycomb Aeronautical flight yoke. Now that's a much anticipated and rather overdue product, which is tentatively scheduled to be released in August. I think it's available for pre-order, or perhaps pre-order from August, delivering in September. That's been a very flexible and movable date so far, but it's a lot of eager anticipation for that yoke. That's going to be a sort of mid-price range yoke. Actually, it's a low price range yoke. Originally it was going to come in at under $200. It's now recommended retail price is $250, but that's pretty cheap. That's not too far north of the Cytec yoke, and it's a real product now. We've seen it at the shows. There was a frugal video from the FS Expo in Orlando last week or the week before, and they had a yoke there. Nicky Repenning was there, who's the I suppose the chief exec founder of Honeycomb, and you know, he talked good talk really. He's interestingly enough, I didn't realise he used to work at Cytec, so you know, obviously some sense of discontent with the Cytec product led him to want to produce something better at an affordable price point, and he was keen to emphasise that the price point was the main driving force behind this, and why it's taken so long really to get this to market. It's not at market yet, so we still have to keep our fingers crossed. But what's really interesting is from the word go, this has been rumoured to, well, not rumoured, I mean it was clear that Precision Flight Controls was involved in some way in the design of this yoke, and there was some early, I think, internal shots. I'm pretty sure I've seen some early prototype shots which actually had some PFC stamped or branded hardware inside the box. Now Nicky has said in that Frugal interview that indeed PFC have designed the mechanical operation of this yoke, which ought to tell us that it's going to have proper bearings, and that's it. Honestly, that's the main, that's the core of the. People will go on about potentiometers and Hall effect sensors, and yes, that's important, but unless you've got good mechanical bearings in there, yoke after yoke has failed. The Cytec is well known for having terrible bearings and stickiness in the pitch bearings. The Cytec Cessna yoke wasn't much better. Even the higher end yokes, I have an Elite yoke which doesn't have ball bearings or roller bearings. It has a kind of posher version of the Cytec and CH style bearings, which is to say it's metal running on plastic or nylon collars. Now I don't want to knock the Elite yoke, it's streets ahead of things like Cytec and CH, but it's not as good as something like a Yoko or a I shouldn't really comment on PFC, I haven't tried one, but my understanding is that the PFC hardware internally is pretty much similar to the Yoko, in that it runs on ball races or rollers. So if the honeycomb yoke has that mechanical bearing system, they're going to be off to a good start. Obviously it's got one of the other things that Nicky Rippending was keen to point out is that the design has got a lot of expert input. Now, I don't really like the look of the yoke all that much. It's trending towards the CH Eclipse. Well, maybe that's not fair. It's kind of an offspring. If the CH Eclipse got together with something like the PFC with something like the Beechcraft handle, or maybe anyway, that's enough of that. It's got a good handle. It's got a good solid look to it. It's reminiscent of a kind of upmarket general aviation yoke. But the body is very flashy, shall we say. This is not going to detract from the functionality of the yoke. It's got lots of buttons and switches on. I think Brian's saying it's got a magneto switch. Now it's interesting, the video was this in Frugal's video, or was it, maybe it's some of the Honeycomb videos from their own website. You actually see different versions of the yoke. They're obviously prototypes. Some of them have got legends on the buttons and switches, some of them are blank. So we're not quite sure what's going to ship. But anyway, it's got a look to it that's designed. Design is important. You might say, I would say, and I probably did say in my Yoko videos, that the Yoko yoke is notably plain looking and quite industrial. And I like that, and to me it's functional, and for their main target market, which is not the home simulator market, that's absolutely appropriate. But if you want to sell into the home sim market as well as the training market, you need to attract people who are not that clued or keyed into the industrial and functional aspects. They want something that looks cool as well. So you can't knock that. They've put a lot of money. Well, I can't say they put a lot of money. They put a lot of effort into that, and the product looks like it's going to look. It's going to look good. Hopefully, when we get close up with this thing, the quality is going to be majorly elevated from the likes of Cytec and CH. CH quality of the CH stuff is actually better, I think, on balance, certainly the internals, than Cytec. So that's coming very soon. I was hoping to win one so I can make a video to review it. I don't need a yoke for my cockpit. I've got the Yoko still in there. I don't have a Yoko 2. I won't be upgrading to that unless they send me one to review, which there was some talk that they might do that a year or so ago when they first mooted the introduction of that yoke. hasn't materialised so far. So if you're watching Oscar, I'm your guy. I think the chances of being able to blag a honeycomb yolk are pretty slim, certainly in the early days. The main, I think, sole distributor actually in Europe is going to be Aerosoft. I mean, I could have a knock on Aerosoft's door and see what the chances are of that. But you know, chances are I might actually buy one of these just to review it, because I'm interested, and you know, I've got a good stock of flight yolk reviews on my site. It's one, I suppose, it's one of the features of what's built my YouTube channel since 2009. So that's coming up, and who knows, maybe a whole bunch of other stuff that I haven't even thought of yet. So stay tuned and see you later.
My daddy was an aviator. He really loved his aeroplane. Okay. Plane, oh Jesus.